Maura Murray is a 21-year-old college student. It seems like she has everything going for her.
They were talking of getting married.
She was on the dean's list when her car veers off this dark and windy highway. She seems to disappear into thin air.
I don't know why she came to New Hampshire. I don't know. I'd be guessing the same with everybody else.
When her
100 feet from the crash site, the search dogs stopped. The handler tried again. Same result. The scent trail just ended. No body in the woods. No footprints leading away. No witness saw where she went. On February 9th, 2004, 21-year-old Maura Murray crashed her car on a dark New Hampshire road and walked into the night. 20 years of searching have found nothing. Her father still drives to Route 112 looking for answers the most advanced search technology couldn't provide. The mystery isn't just what happened after she vanished. It's what she was running from, or running toward, in the days before. She packed her belongings, withdrew cash, lied to her professors about a family emergency, and drove north alone. Nobody knew where she was going. Her own father had no idea anything was wrong. When the responding officer arrived at the crash scene 7 minutes after a witness reported it, Maura was already gone. The locked car held her packed belongings. The darkness held everything else. But to understand how a person disappears so completely, you have to go back to the last weekend. Everything seemed normal. The Saturn hit the snowbank at 7:30 p.m. on a curve Maura Murray had never driven before. The black sedan's front end crumpled against frozen snow and ice. Airbags exploded. The windshield spider-webbed from the impact. Maura Murray, 21, a Dean's List nursing student who ran cross-country for UMass Amherst and spent childhood weekends hiking White Mountain peaks with her father, stepped out into the February darkness. Route 112 stretched empty in both directions, a narrow ribbon of asphalt cutting through the White Mountains of New Hampshire. The temperature hovered in the teens. No streetlights, no houses visible from the curve, just the damaged car and the wall of trees pressing close to the road. A school bus driver who lived a short distance down Route 112 stopped when his headlights caught the wreck. He pulled over and approached. Maura stood outside the car, visibly shaken. He offered to call the police. "I already called AAA," she told him. The lie was immediate. There was no cell signal on this stretch of Route 112, a fact locals knew well. Whatever assistance she'd claimed to summon wasn't coming. The bus driver, uncertain but not wanting to press, told her he'd call for help anyway. She asked him not to. He nodded, returned to his vehicle, and drove the short distance home. Then he picked up his phone and dialed 911. Between the moment he left and the moment police arrived, roughly 15 minutes passed. What happened in those 15 minutes? No one saw Maura Murray walk into the woods. No headlights swept past to document a driver stopping to offer a ride. The snow along the roadside showed no obvious trail leading into the trees. In that narrow window on a dark, isolated road with almost no traffic, she simply disappeared. The responding officer arrived at 7:45 p.m. His flashlight beam swept across the scene. The Saturn sat locked, driver's door secured, keys missing. The deployed airbags hung deflated from the steering column. The windshield was shattered from impact. Behind the driver's seat sat a box of wine, and in the snow near the car, a pool of pink liquid had frozen where it spilled. He walked the perimeter, boots crunching through the snow, looking for footprints leading away from the vehicle. The beam found nothing. No tracks, no disturbance in the snow beyond the immediate crash site. No signs of struggle, just the cold pressing in and the silence of winter woods. In a 15-minute window on a road with almost no traffic, a 21-year-old nursing student disappeared so completely that not even footprints remained. The officer radioed in what he'd found. An abandoned vehicle, no driver, no clear direction of travel. He stood beside the locked Saturn, flashlight scanning the tree line one more time, and saw only darkness staring back. Maura Murray had simply ceased to exist 3 days earlier. None of them knew this would be the last ordinary weekend. Fred Murray drove up from Bridgeport, Connecticut that Saturday to help his daughter find a reliable car. Maura's Saturn had become unreliable, breaking down too often for the clinical rotations her nursing program required. They spent the afternoon looking, walking dealership lots under grey February skies. By evening they'd found one they both liked, dependable, affordable, the kind of practical decision a father and daughter make together when planning for a future neither doubts will arrive. "We'll come back next weekend and get it," Fred told her. That evening they found their usual kind of place. Amherst Brewing Company, a brew pub in downtown Amherst where the lighting was warm and the menu familiar. They ordered dinner and talked across the table, the way they'd done dozens of times before, father and daughter, the conversations they'd been having for 21 years. There was laughter. There was comfort. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing suggested this meal would be one Fred would replay in his memory for years, searching for signs he missed. Maura borrowed his car afterward to drive him to his motel. Hours later, at 4:49 a.m. Sunday morning, her call woke Billy Rausch at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Billy, who'd been dating Maura since their West Point days and recently talked of marriage, heard her voice shaking on the line. She'd crashed Fred's car, his new car, into guardrails in Hadley, Massachusetts. $10,000 in damage. She was crying, apologetic, shaken by what she'd done. In 48 hours, Maura would be gone. Sunday evening, 11:26 p.m. Fred called Maura from his motel to reassure her. The insurance would cover everything. No permanent damage, no lasting consequences. His voice was calm, fatherly, solving the problem the way he'd solved problems for her before. "You're going to have to make out accident reports, probably in triplicate," he told her. Paperwork. The most mundane detail imaginable. Fill out the forms, submit them properly. Everything would be fine. "Call me tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. She agreed. He heard the relief in her voice, the tension easing. He hung up, certain he'd hear from her then, certain this was just another small crisis resolved by patience and insurance forms. Fred had no reason to believe those would be the last words he'd speak to his daughter. Instructions about triplicate paperwork, a scheduled call that would never come. By 8 o'clock Monday night, Maura Murray would already be missing. The car they'd chosen together would sit unbought. The reassurance he'd offered would mean nothing. And the accident reports she'd promised to file would never be completed. Because somewhere between that Sunday night call and Monday evening, Maura would drive north on Route 112 and disappear so completely that 20 years later, no one would know why she left or where she went. After the call with her father ends, Maura opens her laptop. The screen glows blue in the darkness of her dorm room, casting pale light across her face. She begins typing White Mountains, New Hampshire, rental properties, searching for places no one will know she's looking for. Sunday night bleeds into Monday morning. The campus outside is silent, windows dark in surrounding buildings. Her roommates are asleep or gone for the weekend. The cursor blinks against the brightness. She clicks through rental listings, one after another, methodical and focused. New Hampshire properties nestled in mountain valleys, Vermont cabins advertising isolation, mountain towns in western Massachusetts she's never visited. Each search leaves a digital trail she doesn't bother to hide or doesn't think anyone will ever need to examine. The searches are specific. Not just any rentals, properties in remote areas, mountain regions far from major highways, places far from Amherst, far from the familiar routes of her daily life. She clicks, scrolls, reads descriptions of wood stoves and mountain views, moves to the next listing. No phone calls interrupt her. No texts arrive. The dorm stays quiet. And Maura keeps searching. Computer forensics would later reconstruct this night in precise detail. The timestamps marking each search, the exact search terms she typed, the websites visited, and the duration spent on each page. The record of a woman spending 6 hours alone in the dark, planning something she won't tell her father, won't tell her boyfriend, won't tell the friends who think they know.
Right? So I figured if this is the most trouble this kid ever causes me in 21 years, then I am lucky. I'm a lucky guy.
Your support helps bring attention to cases like Maura's that deserve to be remembered. Leave a comment below. What aspect of this case struck you most? And if you know someone interested in true crime or unsolved mysteries, please share this video. Stories like these need to be told. And cases like Maura's need to stay in public memory.
She did lie, but, Mara was not a liar.
Thank you for listening with respect and care. This story is based on the real documented disappearance of Maura Murray. Some narrative scenes were dramatized for storytelling purposes, but all facts, timeline, and evidence remain faithful to the actual investigation. Our deepest respect goes to Maura's family, especially Fred Murray, who continues searching for answers to this day.